baby, give me one more chance.
An iconic pop star who was always evolving. Later in life, so was his skin. Years before his death, Michael Jackson went public, claiming a mysterious skin condition was stealing his pigment. Jackson said he had vitiligo. But skeptics fueled speculation that the eccentric entertainer, whose facial features underwent dramatic changes over time, also resorted to extreme bleaching to turn his brown skin ivory.
You got the trail mix and stuff.
In the College of Pharmacy at Xavier University, building specialist John Baker walks the halls to make sure nothing escapes his eye. But something did sneak upon him.
Actually, it started when I was in the military. I was playing basketball and I scratched myself over my eye.
And it progressed in a hurry.
Once it started spreading, I really didn't like going nowhere. You know, I was kind of shy about it because, you know, everywhere you go, you get looks. And especially from the kids, you know, they be playing and all of a sudden stop and look at you.
He has vitiligo.
Now I'm used to it. Can't, you know, let it determine my life. I got to live. You know.
4 years. From Hurricane Katrina, going on 5 years.
Suzette Valtos had a tough time dealing with her loss of pigment.
The problem I have is only when others recognize it. And it's like they may look at my hand and they may frown up.
Her color started disappearing while she was displaced in Atlanta.
It's very much an emotional roller coaster, especially when it first started.
While makeup camouflages her face, masking her hands year-round is challenging.
I'll be so self-conscious because, you know, your makeup will wipe off on folks' cars or their homes or whatever.
I think nobody but his dermatologist and Michael Jackson know that story, so I'm not going there. But there is clearly a disease that causes depigmentation, and it can be quite devastating psychologically to people, especially darker-skinned individuals.
Dr. Erin Bowe is a Tulane dermatologist considered an expert on vitiligo.
It is not inherited, so it's an acquired process. The most prevailing theory about why people get vitiligo is that their immune system somehow gets triggered to start attacking and killing the pigment-forming cells.
And it's not the same as albinism, which results in albinos being born with no pigment-forming cells. Vitiligo tends to show up later without warning.
It doesn't itch, it doesn't get red, it really has no symptoms, and most of the time, patients just are aware that they have loss of color.
Is it a myth that vitiligo is an African-American disease or a disease that only afflicts people with dark skin?
That is exactly what it is, a myth. Anybody can get this disease. It affects equally men and women, children and adults.
They really almost showed up overnight like that.
Elizabeth Gosling's white spots first surfaced in the 80s.
9 or 10 months later, and it just escalated.
She went to Dr. Bowe and initially tried steroid creams to trigger her body to recolor itself.
In lighter-skinned people, they may not even see it for months. They may not see it until they get to the summer when they start getting a tan.
2007, it got really bad and to the point where I really couldn't go out in the sun.
Of course, the sun rays can be damaging to everyone, but for vitiligo sufferers, their unpigmented skin is even more at risk of cancer.
Wearing jackets in July and doing everything I could to avoid the sun, that's, you know, and I moved down here because I love the sun.
Suzette is comfortable being outside as long as she's covered and has sunscreen. She's even training to collect census data.
I might even wear gloves and, you know, just do what I need to do.
Though vitiligo has no cure, doctors keep learning.
Commonly, patients will give you a history of that the areas will come up after trauma, or they had an illness.
Jean had that slight injury over his eye. Suzette says a relative had lupus, but Elizabeth knows of no possible triggers. Though answers are in short supply, treatments are emerging.
It's just like being under a sun lamp or whatever. It's, but you do it for a few minutes every other day.
Self-tanning products proved worthless to Elizabeth. She says she didn't see any improvements until she started light therapy 2 years ago.
And it's made a tremendous amount of difference.
Now, while light therapy helps to repigment the skin, some people suffering from vitiligo opt for permanent bleaching of their skin with a topical solution, a process Dr. Bowe isn't fond of.
I have had people ask for that, and I think that that's in and of itself that's a difficult choice for a person to make. I mean, if you're African American and you say, hey, you know, I'm going to depigment my whole skin and be white, that's difficult to handle from a mental state. So I truthfully don't encourage people to do that.
They told me that, but no, that's never gonna happen. I'm black and I'm proud.
I was thinking on doing that, but the way it's progressing so quickly, I may not even have to do that. And I know that the bleaching process may be kind of painful, so, you know, both psychologically and physically.
The potent topicals used for permanent skin bleaching are nothing like the over-the-counter type skin lighteners. Dr. Bose says there's even research on skin grafting.
We did a series of that a good 10 years ago where we did punch grafts, and we would take small little plugs of normal pigmenting cells and put it into the vitiliginous skin. And interestingly, some of them took and would develop and spread out the pigment, but many of them didn't.
For those battling vitiligo, coming to Michael Jackson's defense seems natural.
For somebody who is a star like he was, and African American, where the spots show up even twice as much as they do on a Caucasian person, I think it's very significant.
Might have been in his mind that people still can see the spots I had in my face.
And these vitiligo sufferers say they've learned to love what they see in the mirror.
You're gonna get the looks. People are gonna look at you, and you just have to deal with it. As long as your family and your friends love you for who you are, that's all I can tell.
It's about beauty on the inside, not on the outside.
And I always jokingly say my daddy's brown complexion, my mother's very fair. So 40 years of my dad's complexion and the rest of my years will be my mom's complexion.
Because happiness, they know, comes in all colors. I'm Sabrina Wilson, Fox 8 News.